TV. Not as normal in the bunkers, unfortunately due to technical issues. The show that we recorded for this week will not go out. We had some issues with our audio, so you have got just me, no Paul, no Aaron, I'm afraid, but we will be back to normal next week, I promise, he said. Okay, we'll move straight on. On Friday night, Panthers were in Belfast. They suffered a 4-3 defeat, their first defeat since a defeat to Dundee earlier in the season. Good game. I thought Panthers played very, very well for the second period and also for parts of the first. However, Belfast did outshoot us in the first period, 16-7. Craig Kowalski coming up with some massive saves to keep Belfast at bay. However, in the second period, Panthers really took it to the Giants, and if they had a little bit more luck on the side, Matt Francis with a short-handed breakaway that hit the bar, we could probably have gone on to win the game. That would have made it 3-1 at that point. Of course, as everybody knows, there was a fortuitous goal, shall we say, by Robbie Sandrock of the Giants, shooting from well behind his own blue line. It deceived Craig Kowalski and went into the net. Obviously, we're not used to errors from K-Wall, but you've got to forgive him just this once. He saved us in the first period, and he is going to make mistakes. All netminders do. He's got to put it out of his mind. Felt really, really sorry for him because he'd had a brilliant game up until that point. However, the Giants, who were very, very strong in the third period, went on to win the game 4-2, scoring once again, and then Matt Ryan pulling a goal back with just 6 seconds left. Not enough time for the Panthers to get back into it. However, after the game, there was a report in the Nottingham Post suggesting that Craig Kowalski had lost the puck in the empty seats on the East tier that was out after a previous event. Very, very bad excuse, Mick, and I'm not having that, I'm afraid. You know, we don't need to make excuses. We were beaten by the better side on the night. Also have to say, excellent coverage on the webcast from Giants Live TV. Only £8, fantastic picture quality and excellent commentary as well. If you get a chance to pick up the Belfast webcast later in the season, I really suggest you do so. I highly recommend it. Okay, moving on to Saturday. Panthers took on the Coventry Blaze at the NIC, and our Cardiff correspondent Sean Phillips was in town to take in the game. Here's his report from a neutral perspective.
So first, something a bit different from me. On Saturday, I attended the Coventry Blaze game in Nottingham. I was up north playing ball hockey in Sheffield, and a few friends and I thought we'd catch the game on the way down. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on it as a neutral. It was a bit flat, a bit dull. I think it got going when I think Coventry deserved the points, to be quite honest with you. They didn't play particularly amazingly, but they played well and they played solid, created a lot of good things, but so did Nottingham. But Nottingham just looked very sloppy. I spoke to Paul at the end of the first period, and he sort of said that they sort of lacked a bit of sharpness, and he was spot on. A lot of passes that last year were going tape to tape, this year were going elsewhere, and I think Nottingham's finishing was a lot better in the first period, but I think that the Blaze sort of ran them ragged a bit and sort of worked them out of position. Scored a good few goals, some pretty goals from the Blaze, but also some great goals from the Panthers as well. You can see that when your offense needs to get going, it really does. So, and that minor incident with Craig Kowalski was probably the talking point of the game. But you know, not a brilliant game, but not the worst game I've ever seen. But I did expect more going into it. I expected a bit more physicality, but other than that, you know, that was my thoughts on the game.
Sean there with his thoughts on the game. From my point of view, a disappointing loss. However, I think Coventry deserved the points overall in the penalty shootout. They stayed at a level of consistency throughout the entire game, which the Panthers just didn't do. In the second period, yes, they did step up the gears and go 4-2 ahead. However, another very, very poor third period where they only had 2 shots put paid to any chances of taking the 2 points in regulation time. And then Adam Henrich, of course, scoring the all-important penalty shot to give Coventry both points. Disappointing to just take a point away from the game. However, also disappointing was the fact that Blaze forward Kevin Harvey ran Craig Kowalski at the end of the overtime period. Kowalski could have got into a lot of trouble. He actually had his stick cocked back ready to strike Harvey with it until Jonathan Weaver intervened, but none of his Panthers teammates actually came in and took Harvey to task for what he'd done, which was, from this fan's point of view, very, very disappointing. And looking at some of the comments on social media and on the forums, other fans felt the same way as well. However, taking nothing away from the Blaze, they deserved their win, and that momentum carried them on into Sunday, where they gained an overtime win against the Sheffield Steelers at the Sky Dome, with Ryan Janand scoring the winner just 65 seconds into the overtime period. So an excellent weekend for the Blaze after some pretty poor results recently. Of course, the Steelers were at home on Saturday night as well, playing the Five Flyers, as Steelers correspondent Scott Antcliffe tells us more.
Hi there, just got back from the Steelers game, resulting in a 3-2 win for the Five Flyers at Sheffield. Sheffield, it's one of those places, it's Steelers' Achilles heel. We always seem to lose the games to your likes of your Dundees, your Fives, your Edinburghs, your Hulls, and those are the games what are going to come back round to bite you in the backside come the end of the season. Can't take nothing away from Fife though. They really deserved the win. They were the better team all night. You know, they had more urgency in the play. They wanted it more. They played physical. You know, they were first to lose pucks. They were winning the 50-50 battles. Fair play to them. They fully deserved that. They took the lead after 2 minutes 50 seconds with Jordan Fulton. A nice 2-on-1 play. Great finish from Fulton. But just a poor defensive play from the Steelers to gift him that goal. They got another one in the 14th minute. Bobby Shimon on a breakaway. Great backhand finish. But once again, a poor defensive effort from the Steelers to gift him that opportunity. 2-0 down, we needed a lift. We got that. Tim Spencer invited Matt Nickerson to drop the glove centre ice. Two went at it, a really good fight, but resulted in a win for Spencer. We come out in the second period, we got a goal on the power play, 4 minutes in, with Rob Dowd. Nice one-time finish, well-taken goal, but that was short-lived. Bobby Schmont got his second of the game about 30 seconds later. Then in the third period, we were on the back foot. Fife were dominating the play. They were shutting us down, doing a really good job. But we got a goal with 5 minutes left. Jonathan Phillips, nice, well-taken goal after a 2-on-1 with Jeff Legui. But by then it was too little, too late, and Fife shut us down and got the win at the final buzzer and the 2 points. Really well-deserved win for Fife. Can't take it away from them. But just a sloppy game for the Steelers and a very frustrating one at that.
Excellent result for the Five Flyers at Ice Sheffield, a brilliant win for them. Also, a big well done to Tam Beveridge, who managed to get me hook, line and sinker on Twitter after the game on Saturday. I'm not going to go into any further details on that, but well done Tam, well done indeed. So to look at some of the other games from Saturday, at the Braehead Arena, Clan took on Belfast Giants in a Challenge Cup game, with the Giants continuing their excellent form of recent weeks, winning 5-2, which puts them on top of their Challenge Cup group. Also on Saturday, Caps took on the Hull Stingrays in Murrayfield. Hull coming away with a 4-3 victory. The next night was the return fixture at the Hull Arena. A better win for Hull there, where they came away with a 5-2 victory. However, most of the goals came in the final period for Hull as they skated away with the victory. This was a game that we actually picked out on last week's show that both teams will be looking for 4 points from. Hull, well, they could gain a lot of momentum from those two results. However, for the Caps, they still seem to be there or thereabouts, but not quite enough to win the games. But I'm sure that they will be coming good at some point. They really do have to. Also on Sunday, Blaze against the Steelers, which was an overtime win, as we've already mentioned, for the Blaze. The Dundee Stars actually losing at home to the Braehead Clan, an excellent win for Ryan Finity's team there, 6-2. Stars, some saying, has the bubble burst, but they still happen to be in second place in the Elite League and are still riding high. Our final game was Devils against the Five Flyers, and our Devils correspondent was back in Cardiff to report on this game. Here's Sean's report.
Okay, so, Sunday night's game against the Five Flyers. One of those games that you just don't win. Some of the bounces didn't go our way, some of the bounces probably didn't go Fife's way, but there were a few situations, I think 6, where the net was knocked off by Kevin Regan. You know, I can appreciate that as a netminder, shuffling from side to side, you can, you know, occasionally knock the nets off. Dan Lacosta's done it, and sometimes intentionally as well, but I think that at that amount of times you just start sort of, you know, taking the Michael a bit. And we probably did deserve a bit of, you know, a bit of beneficial, a bit of a benefit from that, a power play, anything. But all in all, you know, it was a decent game, good spectacle. It did get a bit feisty in the third period when the Devils were feeling quite hard done by. Fife, very, very good. Matt Reba played very well, as did Bobby Chamon, and Roll played very well. Wren did stand tall for a good few saves. Dan Lacosta couldn't do anything about the Flyers' goals. The Flyers did work it around and played some very good hockey, and their power play did look very dangerous. So, yeah. Well done to Fife, definitely. Thank you so much to all the Fife fans for coming down, because it really, really was a great atmosphere in the BBT. So yeah, not a bad game. But yeah, back to you guys.
Sean there reporting on another excellent win for the Flyers, but problems continue for the Devils, especially after news came out that Gerard Adams, their was a supposed bench coach, has now moved back into a playing contract. Lots of rumours were going about on Sunday night that Adams had actually left the club. This has, however, turned out not to be true, but the soap opera down at Cardiff Bay seems to be ongoing. Okay, we're going to have a look at a few of your tweets from the weekend. Plenty of tweets coming in, especially from some Steelers fans. They're not too happy with their performances on Saturday and Sunday. We've got one here from Faye Wadsworth, Steeler Faye. Forwards don't take their chances well enough, and the defence looks lost most of the time. From Chrissy, forwards aren't finishing and the defenders aren't doing good enough. So some damning indictments from the Steelers fans there. Andrew Stafford here. Where do I start? Passing, shooting, power play, positioning, puck control, speed, physicality, all rubbish, and always giving up the first goal. The defence is useless and can't put more than one pass together. So, yeah, not happy at all there is Andrew. Alex Smith, defensive mistakes are getting punished and they're hanging Doyle out to dry, and players getting paid a lot not to score. Simple. I think that is a reference to one of Mark Lefebvre's interviews over the weekend. Moving on to some happier tweets now, and from plenty from Fife fans who are absolutely delighted with their work over the weekend. 4 points for them. Our old mate Random Pesh. Weirdly, Fife needed 2 away games. Play without pressure. That is the catalyst for our season right there. Amazing. Yeah, he could very well be right there. Andrew Birrell, unreal weekend. Never thought we'd get anything. Very proud of the boys, and as well you should be. They did excellent over the weekend. Robert Skeen, 3 away wins in a row for Fife. Never thought I'd see that. Well done, Flyers. And it turns out that this is actually Fife's first wins outside of Scotland in their return to the Elite League, so that is excellent for them. Moving on to Belfast now, and our old mate Patrick Smith. Good character and fortune to get back into the game on Friday after Panthers dominated for 40 minutes. And a good win in Braehead in a dead rubber, so Paddy very happy as well, he should be. A couple of tweets from Elaine Buck regarding Mick Holland's comments in the Nottingham Post, saying the excuses of early flights and losing the puck in the seats makes us look very petty and silly excuses. I could not agree more, Elaine. Thank you very much for sending your tweets in over the weekend. If you do want to contact us on the show, our Twitter address is on the screen. Before we have a look ahead to some of the games that are coming up over the next week, just want to say what fantastic news from the Elite League this morning regarding a television deal with Premier Sports that will include a live game every Saturday night at 7 o'clock, starting with the Blaze against the Giants on the 23rd of November, and will also include the playoffs as well. excellent news. I think it's long overdue, and I'm very, very pleased to see the Elite League will be back on television once again. But we will discuss that far more with some of the reaction in next week's show. Okay, moving on to this week ahead. Quite a few games taking place in the Elite League, and starting on Thursday night, Devils take on the Hull Stingrays in a Challenge Cup game, very important, which will lead to Challenge Cup position, with the Stingrays still have a chance of qualifying for the quarterfinals. So a win is a must for them there, and they will take obviously the momentum from a great weekend into that game with them. On the same night, Sheffield Steelers take on the Coventry Blaze. Steelers will be looking for revenge after Blaze winning in overtime on Sunday. Should be a close game there. On Friday night, the Panthers take on the Dundee Stars in what should be a very interesting clash. Of course, the last time these two teams met in Dundee, Stars skated out as 5-2 well-deserved winners. So that should be a very interesting game at the NIC on Friday night. Moving on to Saturday, and the Giants take on the Devils in a double-header, Saturday and Sunday, both at the Odyssey Arena. Devils obviously in a little bit of disarray regarding the Gerard Adams situation and everything to do with the club at the moment, really. And the Giants, of course, riding high on momentum and playing very, very well. You would have to expect 2 Giants wins in those games, I would say. The Braehead Clan take on the Edinburgh Capitals at Braehead Arena on Saturday night. Again, the Clan playing very, very well. The Caps down on confidence, but a win must come sometime. However, I don't think it will come on Saturday night. Finally, the Fife Flyers take on the Sheffield Steelers in a reverse of the fixture from last Saturday. Interesting game. Fife, obviously, with their very partisan and vocal fans. The Steelers smarting after their defeat last Saturday. Could be a very, very close game. I would expect that one to probably go to overtime. Moving into Sunday, and Panthers take on the Fife Flyers. I think a lot depends on what happens on Saturday night with Fife in that game. I'd like to think that it would be a Panthers win, but as we all know, Fife shocked the Steelers last Saturday, and you never ever know what's going to happen. It's a very close league this year. Sheffield Steelers take on the Braehead Clan at the Sheffield Arena. Again, Ryan Finnerty returning to his old stomping ground. Should be another good game. Both travelling from Scotland, of course, with Steelers taking on Fife Flyers on Saturday night. Will tiredness play a factor? I don't know. I reckon that could be, again, another close game. I wouldn't be surprised to see that one go into overtime. The resurgent Coventry Blaze taking on the Hull Stingrays at the Sky Dome on Sunday night. I think that one will be a Blaze victory. They're playing very well at the minute. Hull also got momentum on their side after a couple of good results of the weekend, but I do feel the Blaze might just have a little too much for the Stingrays on Sunday. Finally, we round off with the Edinburgh Capitals against the Dundee Stars on Sunday night. Well, could be an interesting game. Caps, they've started scoring a few, and they've also narrowed those results. The Stars certainly don't seem as dominant as what they were earlier in the season, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Capitals sneak a win there, but we will see at the weekend. Of course, we will be back to normal next week at the Bunkers Hill. Aaron and Paul will be joining me, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have our normal show. And of course, we will be reviewing all the weekend games, looking ahead to the following weekend, and of course, we'll be talking about that fantastic Premier Sports deal to televise the Elite League. But until next week, thanks for joining me. Good night.